We are mass manufacturing nuclear power plants that are purpose-built for powering AI data centers. We achieved criticality on our first full-scale reactor at 12:20 a.m. on the 4th of July. We cut it close because the president made these executive orders a year prior, commanding at least 3 reactors to achieve criticality by July 4th of this year. And we narrowly made it. I built things in my life out of wood, out of metal, out of cardboard when I was a kid, but I've never split an atom. And that was just like the coolest feeling in the world. Like something that we built in our factory was literally splitting atoms next door. It was just such a cool, awesome day.
We are back with Matt Loszak from Aalo Atomics. Aalo? He's a co-founder.
Aalo Atomics.
Aalo Atomics. He's the co-founder and CEO of
Yeah.
Aalo Atomics. 6 days ago, they just went critical for the very first time with a self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction, which is really awesome. We love nuclear. We're such nuclear fans. So Matt, welcome to MTS.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. So for the audience, can you explain what Aalo does and what criticality means?
Yeah, so we are mass manufacturing nuclear power plants that are purpose-built for powering AI data centers. So we got started around 3 years ago, less than 3 years ago. We've raised 300 million, and we scaled from 2 to 200 people. And as of this past Friday, I guess it's about a week ago, we achieved criticality on our first full-scale reactor at 12:20 a.m. on the 4th of July. So definitely the best day of my life, possibly the most stressful day of my life. We cut it close because the president made these executive orders a year prior, commanding at least 3 reactors to achieve criticality by July 4th of this year. And we narrowly made it. So it was super exciting. Yeah, best day of my life.
Amazing.
That's
That's
awesome.
so poetic. It was on like
It
America's
is on the
250.
250th anniversary. Yeah.
Incredible.
Exactly.
So what were the other 2 companies? Was it 2 other companies?
Yeah, so there was actually 3, so 4 in total. There was Antares, who did it first, Valar, and then a company kind of came out of nowhere called Deployable. And each of these companies took critical a slightly different reactor. So Antares started with a 500 kilowatt reactor meant for ocean and space and maybe military applications. Valor went next with a 100 kilowatt system, which I believe is a similar target market. And then Deployable kind of had a small system. They kind of got started more recently, so they still wanted to try to do something by July 4th, and they pulled it off with a kind of reactor this big that they put some CO2 fuel into. And for us, we'd kind of been going after this for 3 years, so we had more time to do something larger scale. So ours is we basically bought like 30 megawatt thermal worth of fuel. It's a full scale reactor you see behind me. So it's all installed in these modules that come from the factory. And so our reactor, when we add in the sodium, we'll be able to extract 30 megawatt thermal, 10 megawatt electric per reactor. The commercial product is 5 of these reactors, so 50 megawatts electric, purpose-built for powering AI data centers. But it was just so cool. I mean, we were in the control room next door, and like I built things in my life out of wood, out of metal, out of cardboard when I was a kid, but I've never split an atom. And that was just like the coolest feeling in the world. Like something that we built in our factory was literally splitting atoms next door. It was just such a cool, awesome day.
That's
That's
incredible. So what is Aalo's niche compared to other nuclear companies? Like, what do you do differently?
So our focus is really on powering AI data centers. I think a lot of people feel like product market fit is like not a real thing in nuclear. They assume like, oh, you build a reactor, plug in anything like you would a wall outlet, and Bob's your uncle. And that's really not the case. Like there's different reactor sizes, different economics, different levels of mass manufacturability, transportability, different supply chains, and some can go to higher temperatures or lower temperatures. So I think what you're seeing is a lot of startups got it started 5 or 10 years ago, and they kind of decided to go after the niche of the military. And they chose certain fuels like triso fuel, which is this special fuel form factor that has these little ceramic uh, pebbles that are really, good if you're on like a forward deployed military base. Because if you get annihilated by missiles, you can vacuum the particles up, and it's like good for forward deployed,
Mhm.
energy. But the problem is the supply chain is really low right now for this fuel, and it's also inherently expensive. It's, what is TRISO? It is UO2 plus some extra manufacturing steps. And so we kind of said, well, what's a good supply chain for our fuel? We chose off the shelf fuel used by all the pressurized water reactors around the country today. Like 99% of reactors in the world use UO2. And then we also thought about, well, what would be a faster way to deploy? Because, like, if you make a nuclear reactor for the military, maybe you'll deploy a couple per year. If you're trying to power data centers, we need to find a way to produce a gigawatt per year, 10 gigawatts per year, maybe even 100 gigawatts a year one day. And to do that, the thing that really matters, first of all, is supply chain. Second is mass manufacturability and mass transportability. So we asked ourselves, what is the most powerful reactor you can fit on the back of a truck?
Mhm.
And that was our kind of design, thesis. And so I think our reactor will really be a good fit for data centers because it's in that sweet spot of economics, supply chain scalability, and high availability and uptime. So that's the kind of niche that makes this a good product market fit for data centers.
So
So
how does it? Oh, go on.
are there still like significant regulatory barriers to nuclear deployment? I mean, I'm sure there are, but I imagine it's not like what it was prior to the current admin.
Well, 15 years ago, I'd say yes. I mean, there was like anti-nuclear people in charge of the NRC back then, and that's not regulation, that is active prevention.
Mhm.
But things have really changed in the past 5 years. You have things like the DANU arm of the NRC for advanced reactor licensing. You have the executive orders for DOE authorization, DOE NRC harmonization. You have NRC Part 53, Part 57, which are really focused on advanced reactor licensing, micro reactor licensing. So I think what we've proven now is, in going from founding to fission in under 3 years, the regulatory environment is just much more healthy now. It's still very stringent and it's a gold standard regulator, but it's no longer active prevention. So I actually have regulatory as one of my lower risks on the risk register for our company at this point in time.
So how does it compare? How does nuclear, like small nuclear, compare to alternate power sources for data centers in efficiency and like size, transportability, manufacturability?
Well, I'm biased, but I'm pretty sure we're onto like a holy grail energy product here. So I mean, it's so cool. Nuclear is like the most misunderstood technology probably of all time. I mean, it's clean, it's baseload, it has as good a safety track record as solar and wind, contrary to a lot of popular understanding.
Hmm.
If you kind of compare it to the main way we're powering data centers today, that's natural gas. And this is going to be way more scalable because for natural gas, you've got to be close to this underground labyrinth of pipeline to constantly feed that beast, the turbine with new natural gas at all times, do new fracking, new pipeline expansion. It adds a lot of cost and it can be slower and so on. And nowadays, net new natural gas is like 15, 16, 17 cents a kilowatt hour, despite some financial engineering some people do to make it appear otherwise. And so, to be able to put a Aalo pod anywhere, doesn't need water, doesn't need an underground labyrinth of natural gas pipeline. It uses 100 times less land than renewables. So it's
Mm.
just easy to put anywhere. It's very compact. And then, geothermal and hydro, they need like fast moving water or a magma pocket. So it's so cool how this technology can just work anywhere. Doesn't matter if it's sunny or windy or whatever. So I think as soon as we scale production, we're about to move into a 1 million square foot facility to scale production of our hardware, and improve the economics, which we've just taken this reactor live. This is no longer finger in the wind economic guessing. I think you're going to see a lot more of this stuff get deployed quite ubiquitously around the country and the world.
So what about the people building data centers? Like, are they receptive to nuclear as an energy source? Or is there any concerns that they might have? Like, what are the risks that still exist in your view?
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting because you're seeing a lot of data centers getting NIMBYism for the data center itself. I mean, on the one hand, there's a lot of people who have uncertain feelings about AI. It's kind of acting now as our best friend and know-it-all friend and almost therapist, and yet it's also stealing some jobs. And it's like, what the heck? People don't know
Yeah.
how to feel about AI to begin with. It's a blessing, and also, people, it's somehow still controversial. And then also you have a lot of the places where data centers are getting built and people's utility bills are going up. And there's a perception that it's using a lot of water, which maybe isn't necessarily fact at this point. But there's still a lot of NIMBYism. And so who would have thought that nuclear could actually be the solution to NIMBYism for data centers? We don't use water. When you bring your own power, you can actually lower local grid prices, not increase them. So I think it's just kind of common sense. I mean, the way to build this stuff is to make people want it in their backyard. And there's a lot of places, there's 20% of this country that is currently powered by nuclear. Our first place we built our first reactor didn't have much NIMBYism because it's a nuclear heritage in Idaho. So I think if you go where nuclear is already well adopted, it'll just get more widely accepted as time goes on. People can become more familiar with it, and I think in general we should want more energy generation infrastructure around the country. Like energy is wealth, energy is well-being. The more energy we can tap into, especially if it's clean and doesn't mess up the air we breathe or the atmosphere and the environment, then more energy is a good thing. And there's no such thing as an energy-rich poor country. So more energy is better. If data centers can be a catalyst to build more energy, I think it's a big win for all of us. And I think we're going to see a lot more of it.
Yep. Well,
Awesome.
we're big fans of energy here. Thank you so much, Matt, for coming on MTS.
Yeah, this
Thanks
is
for having
incredible.
me.
Absolutely. And
Thanks
we'll
so
be
much,
right
Matt.
back. MTS is an ex-native live streaming news and interview show covering technology, business, politics, and culture as it happens. Catch us every weekday live on X, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Scale your startup on Neon, the Postgres backend for apps and agents built by Databricks. Neon.com/MTS.
11 Labs, AI that communicates at human level across every channel and modality. 11labs.io/MTS.
Special thanks to our sponsor Kong. Kong, the AI connectivity platform. Connect APIs, LLMs, agents, and systems with serious security and governance. Try it at konghq.com. Thanks to Blitzy, autonomous software development for enterprise codebases. Ship 5 times faster at blitzy.com.
Let me tell you about Merge. OpenAI, Dropbox, and Ramp use Merge to get AI to production faster. Merge.dev/MTS. Quick word from AdQuick. Make your brand a billboard. Out-of-home advertising as easy to scale as digital. AdQuick.com.
Thanks to our sponsor, Macroscope, AI codebase understanding for engineering leaders. Try it out at macroscope.com/MTS.